How's it going, everyone? DJ Aceman, Big Don, right here, right now for the Peace and Chaos program. It is the Georgia 2022 runoff race between Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker right now. We're going to be monitoring this, but first, Big Don, what's going on?
Okay, we got a little bit of a race tonight. Tonight is the Georgia runoff elections, as we alluded to with our previous midterm streams. This is going to be a big race, not as impactful as it was 2 years ago during the original 2020 Georgia runoffs, but this time there's going to be the 51st seat is going to be up for grabs for Democrats, while Republicans are going to try to maintain as much control of they can with the Senate. So this should be a little interesting, and also we're going to be talking about some other political developments been going on. A lot of stuff gearing up for 2024 and for 2023 as well, as there's been some interesting economic reports to come out with the year winding down.
Yes, a lot of things to look into, but first, let's just discuss a little bit about what's going on in the Georgia Senate runoff race. So, actually, back during November 8th, during the general election day, Warnock was leading Walker 49.4% to 48.5%. Oliver, the Libertarian candidate, had 2.1% of the vote. And since Georgia is a state where the winner has to get above 50%, since there was no winner who made it to 50%, this is the reason why we are in a runoff between Warnock, the Democratic incumbent, and Walker, the Republican. So right now we're just waiting. We have 39% of the vote. Polls have already closed in the state of Georgia. And right now it's just now time to start counting votes. But I know we also mentioned that there are other things we're going to discuss a little bit later, but Georgia is a state. It's a battleground state. This has become a state that once was red up until about 2016. And then in 2020, things just started to change in Georgia. The issue of police brutality was one of the reasons why Georgia started to change due to the Democratic electorate having a heavy African American presence. Also, the suburban vote too, and we saw this in 2020 in the Atlanta suburbs, Augusta, Macomb, Savannah as well. Those also had a lot of moderate Republicans, mostly working class white families, that were also starting to shift. So we saw a demographic shift in favor of the Democrats back in 2020, and this has led to why Georgia, which was once more of a Republican stronghold, now shifting more into purple. So this has been an interesting race. And again, as you mentioned, Big Don, earlier, back in 2020, there was also two runoff races in Georgia where both Democrats were victorious. John Ossoff, the senator now, and also Senator Warnock, who's in this runoff race. And it just shows you how contentious and how both parties are really focusing their attention on Georgia.
Yeah, I think with the runoffs here, I think what's interesting to note is sort of the swing that things have happened since the midterm election, as the Republican Party seems to be in a little bit of shambles right now in terms of who they want to sort of to echo their voice leading into the 2024 elections. And since Walker was a pretty much a Trump endorsed candidate, a candidate that was pretty much brought up by Trump with his with how much ties they have to him, and then with the recent resurfacing of some controversies we're going to get into, especially with that famous dinner with Kanye West.
Mm-hmm.
I think, especially with some of the stuff that Warnock has been saying with his abortion case, I think there's been a little bit more light shit on that as of late. I think it's a little bit of an uphill battle for Walker right here, and obviously, early polling has shown that Warnock has been pretty favorable in terms of turnout, especially in these suburb counties right here. When we look at the outer, we look at sort of Atlanta, that's going heavily blue. Augusta, that's obviously a big suburb over there for Georgians, and also you got some rural counties right here that are flipping blue.
Yeah, that is true, and I could pull that up in a second. But I also want to talk. You talked a little bit about how with Trump being so tied to the Republican candidate Republican candidate Walker, how that has also hindered Walker's success right now. And I mean, we've seen it with polls favoring Warnock by a pretty significant margin right now. And I also think that this is a good discussion to talk about the Republican Party at large. Now with the midterms behind us, there were a lot of predictions saying that this was going to be almost a red wave to counter President Biden and the Democrats' control of the House, of the Senate, that this was going to be a red wave. But we didn't really see that play out, and I think there were a lot of issues that came to the forefront as to why we never saw that. But I think there's also a lack of leadership in the Republican Party as to what direction it's going in. Who's going to be the person that stands up and leads this new direction? Is it going to be Florida Governor Ron DeSantis? Could it be former President Trump? Or could it be someone else? And I think that that lack of direction is also going to hinder on this race tonight and with Walker's with his success in this race.
Yeah, amongst the legislative the branch, obviously Kevin McCarthy has. We've alluded to this previously on stream, but McCarthy has a little bit of trouble trying to seal his stake as the House Majority Leader now that the Republicans now control Congress, but it's by a slim margin now. And I think we pulled up McCarthy's favorability; it's not looking good.
Mm-hmm.
And then with sort of how Trump, I think a lot of the media sort of took attention towards Trump, but I think the big blame here for why the red wave didn't happen was the Supreme Court decision back in June to overturn Roe v. Wade. I think
Yes.
there's two issues here. Now, a lot of people said abortion wasn't really going to be like, a big issue compared to, like, say, the economy, for example. But I think when you look at sort of the magnitude and social implications in terms of how ideological abortion is, I think it's very fair to say that there's going to be a lot of single issue voters on that. I think for Democrats, I also say there's a lot for Democrats in terms of gun control. I think they shouldn't really mess with gun control. And obviously for Republicans, it's to limit abortion rights. So obviously people have drove out and wave, especially younger generations as well.
Yes, that's a good point you made about the issues at hand. And we were looking at some polls saying that inflation was the top issue and that was favoring Republicans. However, I think a lot of pollsters underestimated how big abortion was going to be in the midterms. The big news back in late April when there was the rumor that the Supreme Court was going to overturn Roe v. Wade was showing how this could favor Democrats. And then, of course, we saw it in the beginning of the summer in June when it was overturned. But as time goes on in the political, with every political window of an election year and every few years, things change, issues change. 2 years ago, we saw police brutality and racism being the top two, along with public health in 2020. And things kind of shift a little bit in 2022. We saw inflation being the top issue, and we also saw political disunity and abortion being some of the top issues at hand in 2022. So those issues are something that can really shift an electorate. I think that with Roe v. Wade, this really hurt Republicans big time. And also, it made a lot of pollsters underestimate who was going to come out and vote, too. Because there was a lot of people saying that, oh, maybe there will not be a big turnout with young voters. That really wasn't the case. A lot of young voters did come out and vote. And even moderates, too, and independents shifting to the Democrats. So issues are a big thing at hand. And even right now, after the midterms being not so much a success, more of like a little puddle, so to speak. This is hindering Republicans big time, and if this continues, they're going to be in a world of trouble in 2024.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the clear rear right now is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis with his wide margin victory in the state of Florida. We talk about Georgia kind of shifting in terms of demographic votes. Florida used to be a very big swing state when they even decided elections. If you look at the 2000 election over there, it came down to a couple thousand votes in Florida, but now it's just shifted into a completely red state. I think that goes to show. The optics that DeSantis runs on. I think one big thing they had favorable of it was his challenging of walking the line between focusing on the economy. Florida's economy has done pretty well, and also fighting a little bit of the culture wars. I think one of the big things that he went after was Disney.
Yep.
And obviously that resonated a lot with voters, and Disney not so much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if they're looking for a leader position right there, I think Ron DeSantis is kind of the key.
That's a good point you make there too with DeSantis. He's a younger Republican too. He's only in his 40s, early 40s. He's already been a representative from Florida. He's a military veteran, and also he's a young father. I mean, he's a father of, I believe, 2 children. And there's a lot of things that a lot of people resonate with Ron DeSantis. I think one of the things that has helped him big time has been the culture war. Now, I will say this: I think the culture war is something that can either help somebody out big time or can hurt somebody. And I mean, it'll hurt somebody because opponents of whoever this candidate may be may say that, oh, that means that they're not really talking about the policies that they want to talk about and they're distracted. I do think that the culture war is relevant to a certain extent, but I think that sometimes with Ron DeSantis, he may blow it out of proportion, and that may be the reason why a lot of undecided voters may not want to vote for him. But I think in 2020 and in 2022, especially in 2022, DeSantis has rise to the occasion. He's really made Florida a state that a lot of people are now flocking to. He has said that he never wanted to shut down the economy in Florida. He kept it strong compared to other states in the region and in the country. And he's also been prominent. You know, he's very recognizable. He has a lot of press conferences. And a lot of people are seeing that. And I think that this is helping him big time. And if he is going to announce that he's going to run in 2023, this is going to shift it big time. I think he may be the right candidate for the Republicans in terms of getting conservative candidates out to vote, people who may not have been a never Trumper, but he can still unite with some of his policies and also still applying to and appealing to some of the Trump voters that may be undecided but may still stick with DeSantis in the GOP.
Yeah, that brings us to Trump right here. I think Trump's optics are starting to go downhill from here. And I think depending on how he handles his running of the 2024 election, this could really affect the Republican Party. Now, obviously, we didn't cover this part, but he did have that famous dinner with Kanye, and obviously, among that dinner was people like Milo Yiannopoulos, Nick Fuentes, people associated with the far right. Nick Fuentes, of course, making a lot of anti-Semitic comments in the process. So, of course, Trump is now has that on sort of his back. And obviously, Kanye is another person that's running for president as well. Effectively, went to the dinner for Kanye to try to make amends with Trump and maybe again as a running mate. I'm not sure. I'm not totally too sure about that. But I I think if you're still having these sort of figures in the Republican Party, I think it's going to lead to a lot of bad optics, especially when it comes time to start start picking in the primaries, and if Trump gets nominated, or if he decides to run as independent, which could be even a worse outcome. Then I think it's
Ye-
just going to shake things up too much.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, now with Trump saying that he's announced his run for presidency, and I mean, in recent weeks too, I mean, he's had some really outlandish comments he's made about certain Republicans that who were once he who were once in his corner. I mean, he brought up racial epithets with Glenn Youngkin, the governor of Georgia. I mean, the governor of Virginia, and he also took shots at Ron DeSantis, saying that he was just an average governor with good PR. So, I mean, sending shots to his own allies in his base is, I mean, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But then, I mean, having a dinner with a white supremacist and Nick Fuentes and also Kanye West, who clearly is having like a mental breakdown and who's out, like completely out and lost it, is it shouldn't have never happened. I think for Trump to even decide to have dinner with them, and it's just kind of silly that Trump even would have dinner with them. I think Trump really just does not want to win it. I think he just wants to. It seems from this decision that this is a really bad political decision. It's going to hurt him for 2024, hands down.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's been another recent controversy with Trump. Apparently, he's been taking up to Truth Social. There's a reason why he's not back on Twitter. He's got his own platform now called Truth Social. If you haven't heard about it, that's where Trump is pretty much doing his tweeting. There's been a
Mhm.
lot of recent controversy with Twitter and Hunter Biden about trying
Mhm.
to dig up information on him and Trump. And now Trump has, I think he made it. You can pull up this tweet if you want to, or Truth Social, whatever the hell they're calling it. But he pretty much said we should suspend the Constitution and pretty much get him restated with
Yeah.
the news that the Hunter Biden's documents that Democrats were trying to willingly conceal. Now that brings up another question in terms of government interference with social media. But at the same time, I think this is also not a good look for him as well, because obviously you're, as a president, you're supposed to defend the Constitution, not suspend it. I
don't think this was it. Nah.
No.
No, that's not it. I was trying to look it up to see if there's actually a.
Yeah, there might be a news article. A news.
Yeah, there must be a news article. Oh, here it is, Washington Post. We'll pull this one up. Yeah, he says termination of the Constitution. And again, I think that this is just radicalization in its finest print, and also fascism. And again, I mean, I don't know who he's trying to appeal to. Yeah, because he said his online post Saturday included a message in which he wrote, "Unprecedented fraud requires unprecedented cure." He said a massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. He says our great founders did not want and would not condone false and fraudulent elections. Yeah, so he's starting to really show. I mean, again, I don't know who he's trying to appeal to when he says this stuff, but it's clearly not going to work for him. Because when he gets on a debate stage, they're going to bring this up. And I'm telling you, everyone who's going to stand toe-to-toe with him are going to bring this up and say, you want this as the president, bringing stuff up about, canceling the Constitution. Again, that's just that's something that is very risky to say. And I don't know why he would even say that in the first place.
Yeah, I think that's all just bad optics for him at this point. I think he should just focus on, sort of the future right here. Obviously, there's going to be a whole year in terms of issues that are going to be coming up. And if we look at the economy right now, it's just not looking too good. And obviously, Democrats are going to get a lot of blame for it. I mean, you never know what could happen, but at the same time, I think Republicans have a golden opportunity to take back the presidency, and they're just kind of wasting it right now, as we can see here. There's been a lot of uproar in terms of recession incoming.
Yeah, this was from the Bank of America CEO saying that there's going to be a mild downturn in the economy, and that we are going to see most likely a recession in 2023. And this brings into unemployment rates are going to go up. We still see inflation still being key, but also it's just going to cause a downturn. And I think that this could also shift the political compass in the favor of the Republicans, especially now with still President Biden and most likely a Democratic Senate. So, yeah, like you mentioned, this could be a golden opportunity for the Republicans, but still, there's a huge cloud over them right now with, I mean, the dinner that we just mentioned, the underperformance in the midterms, and also with the wild card of what Trump is going to do, whether when he is running, how is that going to hurt them in 2023 when when there's going to be campaigns and rallies? How is that going to affect the base? But again, this is an opportunity, I think, for Republicans to start, explaining what their plans are to hinder this recession, what the policies that they would bring up are, and this could be the opportunity for them. But it doesn't seem like it is at this moment.
Yeah, I think the Democrats also face a little bit of a battle right here, as Biden's favorability is still pretty down in terms of with polls right now. And if this economic activity continues to go forward, especially with the consumer price index coming out for this month, and obviously a lot of people are gearing up for a recession in terms of the stock market.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're gonna have to gear up in terms of what the message is going to be for 2024, in terms of what exactly they could be running on. Because I think you can't exactly, if DeSantis is going to be this right here, you can't run on the fact that, oh well, we're running against Trump. I mean, that's why Biden won in the first place, is because, well, he's not Trump to begin with.
Yeah,
And now
that's
when
going
you
to be
look at
the
the
big
sort of
thing.
economic performance here, and in terms of how much Biden's getting hammered for that, Also, the fact that Kamala Harris is actually pretty. I would say Kamala Harris is pretty a disaster of a vice president. So,
Mhm.
so
Yeah,
would you
that has
shake that
been.
up if you're Biden? I don't know. Also, there doesn't really seem to be a lot of opposition with the party right now. Gavin Newsom recently stated that he's not going to be running against Biden.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of questions as to who, if Biden chooses. I think right now he still is, planning on 2024. But I mean, he's 80 years old right now. He'll be 82 when the election in 2024 would be held. So there's a lot of questions as to whether or not he's going to run. I think that I mean, I've been hearing that there's been a few names that have been swirling around. I know that Gavin Newsom has been one of those names, but with him most likely not wanting to run in 2024, it brings up a question as to who else would run if Biden chooses not to run. Would it be Vice President Harris, who her
There's no way.
approval rating is very low? And on top of that, her performance in the midterms in the primaries back in 2020 were extremely low too. So you look at that, and there's questions as to who could it be. Could it be Mayor Pete Buttigieg, who's now the Secretary of Transportation? Could it be maybe a senator, a high-profile senator? So those are some questions that need to be answered. I think that for Republicans right now, they're also in the same boat as to who is going to run in 2024 and whether or not they can take back the White House.
Yeah, I think things are getting a little bit more divisive now, especially with sort of how we're looking these political conditions. Obviously, I think I'm not sure if this is 100% confirmed, but I know there's a recent attack in North Carolina to disrupt their power grid. A lot of people are saying it's politically motivated. So
I think I may have heard of this, North Carolina. I think I may have heard of this recently. Um,
let's see here. Let's go to
yeah,
the
targeted attacks. Um, these were substations in North Carolina. 40,000 customers in the dark on Saturday, and there's also some reports that they could still be without power for at least another day. Moore County says that the mass outage in Moore County turned into a criminal investigation when responding utility crews found signs of potential vandalism of equipment at different sites, including two substations that had been damaged by gunfire. It says that the person or persons who did this knew exactly what they were doing. Says Moore County Sheriff Ronnie Fields during a Sunday news conference. He says we do not have any clue why Moore County.
yeah,
Okay.
we go back. There was a recent one.
Oops. Okay. Just buffering, just loading. All right.
Let's hear. Go to the top one.
Let's go to this one. This one is okay, this was updated today. Yeah. Yeah, Wednesday night, power is going to return. And these were intentional targeted attacks.
Let's see here. Another was an ABC article here. Similar to threatened infrastructure nationwide. Just 3 days before. This is an ABC article. If you go back.
Oh, this one right here? All right, I think I got it.
Yep.
Yeah, small groups and lone offenders, says the Department of Homeland Security. Yeah, they're not here about this, so this is news to me regarding this. Yeah, they said that individuals and groups motivated by a range of ideological beliefs and personal grievances continue to pose a persistent and lethal threat to the homeland. This was regarding it, just groups in general and people in general who are considering targeting different power stations. I don't know what the specific motive was behind this group, but um,
Seems to be a trend here.
yeah,
That was politically motivated. And I think that's a good question to ask, whether or not we should worry about political extremism.
yeah, and political violence too. I mean, it's something that um, is kind of becoming a thing, unfortunately, and I think extremism does lead to violence to a certain extent. So I think it is something that you have to look into, and it's kind of hard because there's a lot of motivating factors that could be behind um, a radicalization of a population or a group within society, and it's hard to find out what every single grievance a group has and what the causes are. But again, I think leaders at all levels need to try to find some sort of unity. And also, I think this is another thing, rhetoric too. You can't really refer to people as like other. I think it's more of you need to refer to everyone as like a member of the general population. Because once you start othering people, othering groups, that's going to be where the division starts. And from division, there comes hate, there becomes misunderstanding. And then from there, there could become alienation. And then we could see violence spark up. So I think it does start at some level from leadership, but then from there, it just gets intertwined with complexities. And we get to the unfortunate circumstances of violence.
Yeah, I think I think with some of the rhetoric going on online right now, I think a lot of that just comes from the vast amount of information you're exposed to every day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it just definitely warps your brain. I think with Kanye now, I think he just fell down some internet rabbit hole, and now he's just espousing stuff that will make Alex Jones look sane because of
Yeah, that's
their
the
ideas.
thing. Yeah, there's so much crazy things out on the internet. I mean, you could go down a rabbit hole on things, and then you become exposed to like, although a lot of people will say, "Oh, the internet is great and beneficial in certain ways," yes, but it also brings you to communities that may not be seen in the naked eye in society, and you only find these people in like chat rooms online somewhere. And I think with Kanye, it seems like one, I think he's like he has bipolar, so he has I think for him he just maybe started to you know be with the wrong people, and then from there he just didn't have anyone in his corner to tell him, hey, this is not appropriate, you should not say this, this is hurtful and hateful. For him to not have someone in the corner, uh that's where I think he went wrong, and this is the reason why he's in the news. And I mean, we could talk a little bit about what the dinner was and why it was so controversial. But I think with Kanye, I think there's a lot of things, but I think his mental health needs to be first evaluated.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that this also becomes an opposites question in terms of how exactly you deal with this. If you're in like an opposition party, like say the Democrats, or if you're a social media company, I think one thing that we kind of see now, I think the internet censorship is kind of a double-edged sword because while you may be minimizing sort of the impact, say a guy like Kanye or Nick Fuentes has in terms of expanding their roots, I think at the same time that just boosts the narrative of whatever they're trying to say. So, is it the most proactive thing we could do? I'm not sure. I think debating these ideas and trying to prove why they're wrong is something like that. It's just that I think with a lot of these ideas you see on the internet, it's just hard to exactly find like talking points to you know debunk, and then that becomes a whole entire issue within itself. I think it's an interesting discussion to have. I think I think a debate show would be fun to do with this because I think we see this throughout all spectrums of both the left and right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a touchy subject to bring up, you know, I want to say canceling, but censorship, because I think censorship permits other things like canceling from happening. But, in some ways, censorship also, limits maybe toxicity or, things that may be hurtful from, getting to the surface or getting to vulnerable groups. So there are some perks to censorship, but there's also you know, a lot of implications to censorship too. And we've seen it more often now. I mean, with Twitter and Instagram censoring certain things within the past 2 years now, we've seen there has been some good in that, but then there's also been a lot of bad in that. And I think it starts to hinder uh, the right to and the freedom of speech for people. And once it starts hindering, people's rights and freedoms, I think that's where it becomes a gray area, and I think we're still in the gray area.
Yeah, I think we're still in that gray area too. I think with Elon, I think it's kind of weird now because he was the one that banned him, and then Elon was kind of. I think you could all kind of lump before Kanye sort of went mask off there. I thought
Mhm,
there's going to be this like little movement within the right of like like Elon, Kanye, and like Trump to like reinvigorate sort of the online movement of the
mhm.
right, and now it's just kind of just sabotaging itself at this point to the point where even Elon, who is a free speech absolutist, he's now
Yeah,
banning freaking Kanye.
yeah. I think there's certain limitations on the freedom of speech. If you start, saying specific things about groups of people, which could incite violence, that could be, um, that would be deemed not freedom of speech anymore. That would not be protected. So I think
Oh,
what Twitter is going down now is where it once was, banning people who were, criticizing whether it was vaccines, COVID-19, um, the election, something like anything that was controversial for Twitter now. It seems like Elon Musk has taken it a step back. And I mean, now you can say, I mean, it seems like you can say those things on Twitter and not get banned. But I mean, I think it's more towards of he's trying to make it so that anything that is protected under the First Amendment is allowed, but anything that would deviate from the First Amendment, any protections under the Amendment would lead you to get banned. So I think some of the tweets that Kanye has said in the recent past led Elon Musk to make that decision.
yeah. Well, I mean, the man's just going down a rough path at this point. So we'll see how long this lasts. I think with Kanye right now, it's just interesting to see to kind of keep track of what's going on right now, because I mean, it just keeps going like deeper and deeper and deeper. Like we was that long ago where we were kind of criticizing him for going on Tucker Carlson for wearing a White Lives Matter shirt, and then he's making tweets, and now he's having dinner with Trump, and then he's going on Alex Jones.
Mhm.
It's just like how far can we go down this? And then obviously it's just getting so much media attention right now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I just saw that Kanye, I think tonight had or yesterday had an interview with the Proud Boys founder, and this was with Gavin McInnes, and Nick Fuentes was also there. And Kanye, apparently he said this. I never heard the interview yet, but he said Jewish people forgive Hitler. That's what he said tonight in the interview, or yesterday in the interview. But I mean, yeah, I don't know how much longer Kanye is going to be in the spotlight before he probably won't be doing interviews anymore. Someone's going to say, "Hey, don't be doing this anymore." I don't know. And also, yeah, how much more are we going to see the radicalization of Kanye? Is he going to continue going down the rabbit hole and continue to get more extreme, or again, or is he just going to like fall off from the eye and get help and we won't hear from him again? That's my question as well.
Well, the interesting thing is with Kanye's history is he was institutionalized back in 2016,
Hmm.
But that was for entirely different reasons. Obviously, this was kind of the first development of him being diagnosed with bipolar. And since then, it's just kind of just him going back and forth in terms of whether or not he's in denial about that.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think this mental health stuff with Kanye, even if you just going on his Wikipedia page, you can see some of the controversy that he's kind of stirred over the years, and
Oh
how
yeah,
you can
he's
sort of
been.
say, okay, this is kind of a path that we're seeing.
Yeah, this was actually just brought up recently. They said this article may contain excessive amount of intricate detail that may interest only a particular audience. Please help by spinning off or relocating any relevant information and removing excess detail that may go against Wikipedia's inclusion. This was back in November, so this was some of the recent controversy. I mean, we could go to his controversies part. Oh, yeah, right here. I mean, this was the award show. Everyone knows about that. But where is it? Politics. Trying to find out where it actually is.
Let's towards the bottom.
It would have to be, but let me go back to the top. We have mental health, politics, religious beliefs.
Personal life.
It might actually be under politics as
No,
well.
that's his campaigns. You gotta go to his personal life. Mental health.
It doesn't bring up anything about all it is talks about the Brexit movement and Candace Owens. Yeah, it brings up his diagnosis with bipolar in 2016. 2022, he claimed it was a misdiagnosis.
Let me see here.
Yeah, I don't think that they're going to bring this up in a Wikipedia article.
They ban it. Okay, let's see here.
It may have been censored, I think.
It's under views. Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's before controversies. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Here is the part. Oh yeah. So I guess he posted a swastika entangled within the Star of David. That was actually the reason why he was terminated. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, there's still there'll probably be more things added within the next few days regarding this, but yeah, that's some of the controversies. Then they go into like his other controversies. This is more as like when he was a rapper, but yeah, this is the views part is what we're looking at.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kanye. Yeah, he's in a bad place right now. Now he's just having and freaking Nick Fuentes. He's just trying to get as much clout as possible from this.
Yeah. I wonder how they even met, anyways. Like that's my question.
I think Milo Yiannopoulos introduced them.
Oh, okay.
And I'm pretty sure Kanye was probably on some like internet binge before that, so he probably.
Probably watching those Sneeko and
yes,
Nick Fuentes
Andrew
live
Tate,
streams
Sneeko.
probably.
He might have been watching that. So.
Yeah, that's kind of when this all came up. And I mean, Fuentes, he was in the news a couple of months ago prior as well. I mean, they had a committee in the I think it was the House committee. One of the committees was looking into they were watching a Sneeko live stream. I saw that.
Yeah, I remember Sneeko. He was freaking out.
Yeah, he was freaking out.
The United States Senate is watching us.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember I saw that and I was like, wow. And yeah, that was because he was with Fuentes.
I don't know. I think it's something to sort of dive deep in. But that too.
Yeah.
Let's check on the.
Let's go look at into what? Oh, the Georgia Senate.
Yep.
Yeah, let's go back to the Senate. All right. 56% loading. Let me actually look up Georgia's. I want to get a better view.
We need a.
I want to get. There's like. The Associated
Walker
Press
taking the
actually
lead
does
now?
pretty well. I want. We actually need an interactive map.
Where's the Reuters?
Reuters, yeah.
I need Reuters.
There's only a few good maps to choose from. I like Reuters. Yeah, maybe it's this one.
No, this ain't no map. Ah, geez, we have to go rely on the crap maps.
Yeah, we're gonna have to rely on
The Google
actually
or
look
New
at
York
Reuters.
Times, or whatever.
20. We could actually look at the midterm
Map.
All right.
Yeah.
Live results and maps. Hopefully this gets updated.
I need the map.
All right.
Okay, let's see here. And Georgia, let's see if we can get a.
We get a live one. Nah, this is a good place though to compare though.
Oh yeah, okay, that's the.
That was the one that we can compare and look back at to see if there was any changes. But okay.
By the way, we do have a call-in feature in case anyone.
Yeah, we do have a call-in as well. So for those tuning in right now, you can go to the live chat and click on that link, and it'll bring you to a call-in feature. So what I'm actually going to do real quick, I'll stop screen for 1 sec. I'm going to try to pull up a Reuters.
I'm not sure if Reuters is doing it.
Reuters. I'm really hoping that they do. Do we have a map? I really like those maps though. They really they go county by county. Oh, sweet. No. Nah, there's no maps. Nope. All right, so we're still looking for see if this one would work. Okay. Looks like we're going to have to deal with this little map unless I have a better one.
Google?
No, I have there's one on CNN. Actually, let me see. There might be a better map.
Yeah, let's see the CNN one.
The CNN one is very small though.
Let's see here. Georgia Senate race.
Oh yeah. This one's not.
All right. By the way, it's tightening up a little bit.
Yeah, it is. I've noticed that.
58% of the reporting in. Walker has now taken the lead. He is now 50.7% of the vote, while Warnock has 49.3%.
I think we get a Politico map.
We'll see what counties still need to be fully counted there. No one has declared yet, so.
Okay, cool. We got a. Some of these maps have not been great tonight, but we do have this map by Politico. that we can take a look at, and then we can do a compare and contrast of the map from from November. So that's what we'll do. All right, let me share. Let's get this up. All right, so this is the map right here. So you see around the Atlanta metro area, only 5% of the vote is in DeKalb County. So this is going to be big, and that's the reason why Walker is leading by 2 points right now. So we still are waiting on a lot of votes to come in from DeKalb. So they're probably gonna be counting throughout the night. It seems like Wilkinson County, they haven't even started counting. You have Bibb County with only 59% of the vote in. Warnock with a significant lead. And we also look down here at Chatham County, where Savannah is. Only 47% of the vote is in there too. So right now there are still a lot of votes left to count in some of the big cities in Georgia that typically vote blue. And this is the reason why we are seeing this tightening up a little bit. It just kind of depends on when votes are counted. Because in a lot of red counties, like here, Bullock County, Jenkins County, Burke County, they're all into the upper 80s. So there's not a lot of votes left in these red counties, but down in these blue counties, there's still a lot of votes left to be determined. Now, I think one key indicator is Cobb County because of it's more of a suburban county.
Yep.
And currently, right now, Warnock has a heavy lead over Walker, 65.4% of the vote compared to 34.6% for Walker. You also look at Gwinnett County, 51% of the vote in. Warnock up 68.5% to 31.5. And I mean, you also look at Cherokee County. Walker's doing pretty well there, 66.9% to Warnock's 33.1%. 60% of the vote is there as well. So we're really going to have to look more into these suburbs and the counties within these suburbs to kind of get a better glimpse. But yes, right now 61% of the vote is in throughout the state, and it's narrowing. It's only 1 point now between Walker and Warnock. So probably within the next couple hours, we may get a winner.
Yeah, we're more than halfway there, so I think we're going to be getting a pretty good indication of who the winner's going to be soon once we get
Yeah,
to the suburbs.
but let's go back to the first race. And this was back in just last month, 4 weeks ago. And we'll see why some of these counties are so important. So, I mean, you look at Gwinnett County, it has, we saw about 350,000 plus votes counted here in Gwinnett, and 58.9% of those votes were for Warnock. You also look at Cobb County, another suburb, 56.8% of the vote went to Warnock. And then you also look at Douglas County, 64.8% to Warnock. So Warnock is running his numbers big, and not just in Fulton County where Atlanta is, but in the surrounding suburbs. And this is a big indicator. You also look at Savannah, 59.8% of the vote there to Walker's 38.9%. So there is room for improvement, I guess, for Warnock and Walker too. But if these numbers stand correctly without Chase Oliver there tonight on the ballot, I think that this is going to be a Warnock victory.
Yeah,
Especially
all
with
signs kind of point towards
yeah.
Warnock winning. As I think the Democrats probably invested a lot more than the Republicans did in Georgia. Obviously, I think some of the, as we alluded to, some of the with the Republican Party right now, it's just not looking too good in terms of electability.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point too. And I mean, we saw in Pennsylvania too with a candidate in Dr. Oz not being someone who's really known in politics. With Herschel Walker being a former football player and a star on the football field, he really wasn't. He didn't have a lot of background in politics, and this also hurt him too. So the electability piece is something that also needs to be looked at, because if you're going to be running a candidate who, doesn't have a lot of experience, that's going to hurt a lot of that's going to make a lot of voters, want to turn away from you. And I think in this case, and especially for 2022, this is going to be something that Republicans need to really emphasize for future elections. To run candidates who are qualified, maybe have background knowledge, background expertise, and maybe not run on celebrities or people who used to be in the limelight for non-political or legal or military reasons.
Yeah, I don't know. You got to kind of look at it through a shift in terms of Republicans' electability from 2016 on. I mean, they're kind of running on sort of the next Trump in terms of his policies and sort of how he came about. And they want to run, and I think we're seeing right now that it's starting to age a little bit.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're starting to see you still got a lot of influence for it there. I don't think we're going back to 2012 neocons, but
no.
At the same time, you gotta wonder what exactly is going to be sort of the prospects in terms of who's going to be what's the face of the Republican Party is going to be. It's a little bit of an identity crisis right now.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, I think these next 2 years are going to be crucial. Maybe in terms of, who's going to be the nominee in 2024? I think right now, I would say it's Ron DeSantis. His strong performance in Florida for the governor's race, I think, is a key indicator for me for Republicans to go with DeSantis for their best bet at the presidency. Others may say it's Trump still, but again, I don't know. I think his recent antics and, also, his scornful nature is going to continue to hinder people away from his base. And it's that lack of not knowing who it's going to be could hurt Republicans down the line. And I think that they really need to get their act together starting today and, form a unified base. And that may require, getting a new head of the GOP and also, bringing in new leaders as well. So those are going to be some key updates that we're going to have to look into.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there any polling on who voters are going to be likely to vote for?
Let me see if there's any polls. I want to look into FiveThirtyEight a little bit because I know that they're still talking about Georgia runoff, but there may not be a lot of polls. Actually, let me see. Let's look at polls about 2024. Not that there were some polls that were indicating that DeSantis was currently over. Okay, let me look up. This poll's from Texas, actually. This is just of Texas voters. Well, this is actually something to look into. Because Texas is a state that is a must for Republicans to win. So it says that the survey asked voters who are likely to participate in the 2024 Texas Republican primary election who they would vote for out of 6 Republican candidates, including DeSantis and Trump. DeSantis was the top choice, with 43% of respondents saying that they would vote for him if the primary were held today. Trump came in second with 32%. And it said DeSantis' support among the surveyed voters surged to 66% when they asked about a situation in which Trump would decline to run in 2024. Okay. Now, this was back on November 14th. So this was before some of the things that have happened. Also today, I believe the Trump Trump Organization, I believe. I think they lost a lawsuit today as well. So
Yep.
there's also been some other news with Trump. But it said, in addition to Trump and DeSantis, the survey asked about support for 4 other potential candidates, including Vice President Pence, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, U.S. Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, and former CIA Director and former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. And they all received single-digit support from survey respondents. And then they said Ted Cruz and Greg Abbott were not asked in the survey. Okay. But yeah, I mean, it still seems like Trump. I mean, I don't know how much that 32% would change, but DeSantis is the top right now in terms of who's likely to run. I think it's going to be DeSantis.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we'll get a better idea once we actually get an idea of who's running. DeSantis
Yeah.
hasn't officially declared yet. You can still get some people like, I don't know, Nikki Haley. You could obviously get Mike Pence is another big one. Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, any of Trump's sons, even though I'm pretty sure they don't want to get it in the way. Maybe Ivanka Trump. But
Yeah, she could. I've even seen Liz Cheney's name getting thrown around. I don't think that would end that well though for
no.
her. But she may also be someone who is running. But yeah. Now let me see if there's any more polling. Now, okay, so this one is just like a FiveThirtyEight general poll. And then we can also look at the favorability of Kamala Harris because we did speak about this.
Yep.
So we can look into that too. But okay, so this is kind of funny. They have Trump, and they have some polls with Trump and some with DeSantis. This was all from Marquette. Oh boy, all right, there's quite a few interesting ones that they were looking into. Let's go all the way down, though. I want to go to the first ones that they were bringing up, which was November 11th through the 13th. And this was from Leger. I think this is the Association for Canadian Studies. They found that DeSantis had a 2-point lead over Biden if the election were held that day. And then for Trump, they actually had the same poll found that Biden had a +3 over Trump Sr. Harvard. This was conducted by Harvard. Okay. They found that if it was DeSantis and Kamala Harris, DeSantis was +3 over Kamala. And that same poll, if they had Biden as the nominee, it would be pretty much even. Okay. And then Harvard also in that same poll had Trump up 7 over Harris. Okay. So those were some from like a couple weeks ago. And then the most recent one was the 15th through the 22nd from Marquette University Law School. And it's between Biden and DeSantis, and it's even. Okay. And that same poll also who had Biden and Trump, Biden up 10. So, yeah, as of right now, it looks like DeSantis would probably be the stronger candidate. But I know that Harris was mentioned in a couple of these polls, so I'm going to look up her approval rating. Okay, so yeah, okay, her approval rating is kind of similar to what happened with President Biden.
Yep.
Last year in August, this is when her disapproval rating overtook her approval rating. And since then, it's kind of hovered between 50% disapproval and 47% disapproval. Right now, it's actually at 46.1% disapproval, 41.8% approval. So it actually has gone up quite a little bit since the summer months, but I think our all-time low right now was 28.9%
Oh boy.
last year. So yeah, that was last year. And since then, it's continued to kind of stagger between the 50. Yeah, it's right now 50.7%, 39.5% for approval rating. So those are not strong numbers, especially for the vice president considering running for president. But I think there's also some favorabilities of Trump now too. We could take a look at. Oh yeah, so okay, so these were held all the way back in the right after Trump left office in February of last year, and they've kind of like moved around 50%. Yeah, currently right now it's at 55% unfavorable, so it's gone up quite a bit since the dinner news came out last week.
Yep.
But yeah, those are some of your favorability and unfavorability ratings right now. All right.
All right. Well, did they update this? Refresh it.
So it says 69% of the vote is in now, so we're kind of closer to the end stages, and Warnock has overtaken Walker. 50.4% for Warnock, 49.6% for Walker. Still a lot of votes still left to be counted. Looking at DeKalb County, only 41% of the vote is in there. Warnock currently having a big lead. Oh man, he's almost 100,000 votes over Walker right now in
Jeez.
DeKalb. So if that is how it's going to end, I think that they're going to be announcing a winner soon. If the numbers are looking like that, for some reason, Dodge County still is not counting. Chatham County, 59% of the vote is in there, with Warnock enjoying 68.2% of the vote there. Okay. Muskogee County, 67% of the votes in. Warnock with 70% of the vote. And also looking at Cobb County, Warnock up 65.4% to Walker's 34.6%. Still 52% of the vote still in there. So 48 we're waiting on. And down in Talbot County right now, Warnock leading 69.1% to Walker's 30.9%. 42% in there. So I think as the night continues, DeKalb County is going to shift. It's going to boost Warnock's lead. If I had to say a ballpark range as to how the night will end, I think that Warnock will probably have about 53 to 54.5% of the vote. If I'm going to get a little technical here, if the numbers continue to look like that.
Let's see here. I'm trying. Let's see here. Georgia runoff. See, let's check Twitter's.
All right.
This is embarrassing to see the race this close. I'm convinced it should be required that all political candidates, classic civic text to be on the ballot. The fact that Herschel Walker's even in this game is such a sad state from the education levels of our country, especially Georgia. We were just going after him.
Go to Twitter. Let me pull it up right now. All right, here's some interesting ones. Let me just share screen real quick and show you guys what. So this is a tweet. This was by Victor Shi. Okay. I guess he's a columnist and a Gen Zer who's talks about politics. He said, breaking Fulton County, Georgia, the most populous county in Georgia, just released their early and mail-in voting ballot matches of votes, and Warnock received more than 82% of the vote. That's a bigger margin of the mail-in ballot early vote than a few weeks ago for Warnock.
Okay, yeah, let's see what he got in the midterms for Fulton County.
Yeah, let's go check that out. So for Fulton County back this was just a month ago now, he had 307,560 votes. So he had 73.5% of the vote there. Warnock had 102,758, 24.6% of the vote. So if you compare that, the numbers right now, Warnock currently is at 91.6% of the vote. He has 108,288 votes currently right now. Walker only has 9,910. So it looks like he's going to surpass those numbers right now with not even half of the vote counted.
Yep.
Let's continue to see what's on Twitter. Okay, so President Biden today, he said, Georgia, today's election day, and the eyes of the nation are on you. Head to the polls and help send Warnock back to the U.S. Senate. Okay. Trying to see if there's any. Let's look at the latest. Okay, I just don't want to. Oops. Take a look.
It's swinging.
I'm not too sure if that was correct or not. Close right now, but 71% in. It's 50-50 now.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I do want to bring this up to throw some shade at Warnock. Not Warnock, Walker. I'm referring shade at him without even knowing his name. There's a recent clip that I saw of Walker saying that we should get IRS agents to make sure men and women can't compete in sports.
Really? He said that?
I think it was something along those lines. I think he said IRA, which I'm like, that's funny. I'll see that. Okay, click that.
Let's go look that up.
Was it Pac-Man? It's on Pac-Man. David Pac-Man.
I got it. Okay. Now we could do a little reaction to this.
By the way, play it at 1.25 speed.
Yeah.
We don't get the copyright.
Yeah, we need to play it a little faster. Okay. Let me share the screen. All right.
Darn, I can't hear your audio.
You can't? Okay. Sure.
Let me try mine. Let me try.
Let's give you a try. Okay.
Struggle.
No, I do not want ads. I don't want no ads. Getting tired.
To write anything? You and every other professional on Herschel.
All right.
Walker has a brilliant
All right. Can you hear that?
Yep. I can hear it.
new idea, by the way. In the midst of this hectic campaign and race to the finish line tomorrow, Herschel Walker says, hey, you know what? We've got all of these IRS, or as he calls them, RAS agents who are going to be carrying guns. Let's get them to stop the men in women's sports. This is an incredible idea coming from a guy who has very few ideas. Let's take a listen to it.
And instead of trying to keep them safe, they're putting men in women's sports. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is how you can solve this problem. Get rid of them 87,000 IRS agents that's going to go after all of us and put one of those IRS agents in the schools to take care of our kids. That's what they need to be doing instead of going after us with these IRS agents. But yet they don't know how to spend their money. Now they want to spend your money.
Yeah. Did you catch that? I mean, did you understand the idea?
And instead of trying to keep them safe, they're putting men in women's sports. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is how you can solve this problem. Get rid of them 87,000 IRS agents that's going to go after all of us and put one of those IRS agents in the schools to take care of our kids. That's what they need to be doing instead of going after us with these IRS agents. But yet they don't know how to spend their money.
Yeah. Now, I think that this is obviously crazy, but it's important to know the truth about the IRS agent story. The right is framing the hiring of IRS agents as some kind of dystopian crackdown on the people or whatever the case may be. A couple different things that are important to understand. Number one, over the next decade, 55,000 IRS agents are going to be retiring. So 55,000 of the hiring of the to be hired.
By the way, this is actually a part of an issue right here because Pac-Man just pointed out good points that all the IRS that Republicans are going after the fact that there's going to be increased amounts of IRS agents. Now, people don't like paying taxes. They don't like dealing with the IRS. But at the same time, if you actually dealt with the IRS, it's a little bit of a pain. Like, for example, I had to deal with the IRS as a tax prepper. It's not fun. You gotta be held on wait for a little bit. Yeah, they always like to respond to stuff via mail.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fun. And obviously, Pac-Man's going to lay out some points right here.
The agents are over the next decade, and they're just to replace 55,000 that are retiring. That's number one. Number two, the IRS is understaffed. If you actually want to hold the wealthy accountable and make sure that they're actually paying the taxes that they should be paying and the things we always...
Yeah, but a lot of people don't realize that there's actually a lot of uncollected revenue in the United States. So I guess for the sake of just collecting stuff, a lot of stuff can be transacted at cash. You can't exactly trace every sort of transaction back that can be taxable. So I think of course, that comes down to a lot of the sort of limitations of the IRS. So they're sort of bolstering that.
And then many Republicans say as well, you need staff to do that. You need employees to be able to do that. And so increasing staffing beyond just replacing those retiring makes sense. And then lastly, the entire gun thing. Okay. It's really a red herring. First of all, across the entire country, there's 2,100 IRS agents from the criminal investigation side. These are essentially police who carry firearms. Herschel Walker and others want you to believe that they're going to be arming random IRS auditors auditing people making $60,000 a year because they claim too many deductions. Okay, that's not what this is. That's not what this is. And by the way, many agencies have divisions that are law enforcement and carry guns. If you look at the MTA, right, the Metropolitan Transit Authority in New York City, or if you look up in Boston at the MBTA, they all have like some version of their training.
Oh, geez, he's calling us out.
Damn.
How dare he call us out for our railroad transportation?
Yeah.
This guy's got guns. What the hell?
Is it police? They carry guns. It's not the subway operator is now armed. Okay. It's really not a big deal. Amtrak has police. Yes, they carry guns. It's not a huge thing. Now, the good news, as far as Georgia goes, is that Republicans are losing a little bit of hope. Now, we have just hours until we know the results. Everybody should vote. I don't mention this in order to get people to take any action or not take any action. If you can vote in Georgia, you should vote in Georgia. That's it. But Republicans, according to a new Politico article, which we will link to, are feeling increasingly grim is the word that's used here about Herschel Walker's chances. Let's indeed hope that that is the case. Huge numbers of people report.
All right, so that was Pac-Man right there, obviously covering a clip of Warnock over there.
Yeah, he makes some good points. I think that when the announcement of the 81,000 new IRS agents were going to be hired, there was a lot of uncertainty with Republicans, and they believe that it's the government's just getting bigger. They're going to come after the middle class families. They're going to come after the small business owners. This fear mongering started to come up, and I think that this was just Herschel Walker trying to get his last minute scare in to the undecided voters of Georgia. And again, he also brought into the equation the culture wars that we were just mentioning a little bit earlier tonight, with Ron DeSantis really being able to really come about with the culture wars. And I think Herschel Walker's trying to bring up the culture wars too, in order to help his campaign out. He brought up men and women's
competing together
in sports. Yeah, he brought that up. And that fear mongering too that's what he's trying to get to in order to have a chance in this race. So, that's a good analysis by David Pakman there.
See, I'm going to change my avatar. I'm going to go. We got to do it. I'm going to go Senator Armstrong tonight. Okay. Let's see here. We can do more reactions.
Yeah, let's do let's see what was going on. What was like some of the big news stories right now besides, we of course have the dinner thing, we have this race going on. I'm trying to figure out what else was going on recently.
Let's see here. Still a lot of still some supply chain issues. I think. Well, we already touched on the economy.
Oh, what was that? We had FTX recently, that whole scandal.
Oh yeah, FTX. Now crypto's pretty much crypto's still, being I still have like some decent value, but the recent FTX scandal that happened, a lot of people were calling it out.
Yeah.
Crypto's weird because
unregulated.
It's unregulated, and now I think there's going to be talks of regulation, which could, that just could diminish the value of crypto as a whole, because that kind of just takes away its charm. Crypto originally started out as a sort of a way to decentralize currency, so you don't have to really rely on the U.S. dollar to purchase stuff.
Yeah.
In fact, the U.S. dollar has faded down in value over the past couple decades. So I think people were gearing for that, but then people realized the value in that, and the worth of crypto just started going up. So people looked at it as sort of a way to invest.
Yeah, and crypto's not only just used in in the Western world. I noticed that I think some countries where they don't really have a currency, like they have started to use it. Like I think Afghanistan was using Bitcoin, I believe, and I think the cartels also use Bitcoin too. So it has been used also in pariah states as well.
Yeah, that's kind of true. The weird thing with crypto is I'm not sure where exactly it gets its value from.
Yeah, it's
because it's not like based on anything like, for example, gold.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like the whole thing. Like that's why a lot of people are reluctant to even get involved with crypto because of how unknown it is.
It's also very volatile because of that.
Yeah. You could see a spike in crypto, but then maybe 6 months later, there's a huge decline in the value. And that's what makes people not want to even go near it.
Yeah, there's, and obviously now it's going to be, it's hard to exactly, the problem with FTX was they were basing a lot of their assets they were writing down in cryptocurrency, so it can't exactly be traced back to the actual dollars. So, so there wasn't really any real value to it. And obviously a lot of celebrities were involved.
Yeah.
And now they're getting sued.
Yeah, but what's going on with the head of FTX? Didn't he leave?
Yeah, he did, and there's a little. I haven't been keeping up with that, but there's been a lot of deflecting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. We could look it up. We could look at the video.
Let's look it up.
Give us an update on the Georgia.
Let's go back to Georgia really quick, and then we'll look a little into FTX and do some discussion there. But currently, what's going on in Georgia is let me pull it up. So right now, 76% of the vote is in. Warnock has taken the lead again. He's up 50.4% to Walker's 49.6% of the vote. Again, we're looking at DeKalb County right now. 61% of the vote is in right now. Warnock has a 90.8% lead over Walker. Again, I don't know how they're counting the votes in DeKalb County. It could be mostly mail-in votes first, and then we're getting election day votes. But again, if this holds up, Warnock is going to win. If this just continues to stagger out like it is right now, Warnock could be winning. He could be getting close to 85 to 88% of the vote in DeKalb County. And just as a little bit of a comparison, back last month, Warnock had 73.5% of the vote in DeKalb County. So, 84.3%. My bad. So, he's probably going to be on par to reach about 84% as well if things hold up to where they are. All right, let's look at an FTX video.
Let's see here. Well, you don't have audio, so.
Oh, yeah. Let me see.
Seems fine to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Dad, how big is the ocean?
Like I was saying, it's FTX. It's a safe and easy way to get into crypto.
I like how it started off with Larry David. Right?
Yeah, Larry.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. And I'm never wrong about this stuff. Never.
Couldn't have put it better myself. Last year, we made a video about an exciting growth crypto business called FTX, founded by Sam Bankman-Fried, who at the time was being compared to Warren Buffett for starting a business that had reached a $32 billion valuation, calling SoftBank and BlackRock its investors. But little did we know at the time that 18 months later, all hell would break loose on this shambolic mess of a company that has been described as having worse risk controls than Enron. Some people have found a few things that boggle the mind, like the fact that the chief operating officer at FTX was Constance Wang, who had only graduated in 2015. Venture capitalist Anna Mostrak tweeted, Constance Wang, the COO of FTX, is an ex-Credit Suisse analyst with 2 years of experience in risk management. It was her first job out of university. If you're here watching this video, you're aware that FTX has collapsed in recent weeks, from being one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges to losing 99% of their value, filing for bankruptcy, and seeing Sam Bankman-Fried's personal fortune drop from $16 billion to zero in a matter of days. Here's how it happened. For those who don't know, FTX is a crypto trading exchange, headquartered in the Bahamas and run by Sam Bankman-Fried.
I'm Sam Bankman-Fried. I'm the CEO and co-founder of FTX.
Hey guys, it's Sam here, and
we must point out this is not an introduction to FTX. If you'd like to watch that video, head over to our channel for the initial deep dive. From a corporate perspective, FTX was a tangled web of more than 100 different companies, all under an umbrella of ownership with Sam Bankman-Fried, who we'll refer to as SBF during this video, and Gary Wang. John Ray III, an American bankruptcy specialist who has become the CEO of FTX for the bankruptcy procedure, has described the business as split 4 ways, with a VC arm, a hedge fund or trading business named Alameda Research, and 2 exchanges, one ring-fenced for US customers and the other a freer system for international customers. The revenue streams were similarly complex, but at its core, it earned money through its exchange where FTX would take a cut of every transaction. FTX had grown so quickly since its launch in 2019 and were already linked with some of the most established businesses, like appearing on the Mercedes Formula One car, as well as sponsoring the Miami Heat Stadium in a $135 million deal. But as you can imagine, their name was stripped as soon as they became insolvent. Much of the demise of FTX has come through its token, FTT, which is directly linked to FTX and almost acts as shares in the business. Similarly, a lot of the blame lies with its hedge fund business, Alameda Research. Run by Caroline Ellison, Alameda Research was using the FTT token to make risky loans and lumpy bets.
Being comfortable with risk is very important. We tend not to have things like stop losses. I think those aren't necessarily a great risk management tool. I'm trying to think of a good example of a trade where I've lost a ton of money. Well, I don't know. I probably don't want to go into specifics too much with that.
An example of some of these failed bets include a $500 million loan agreement with a failed crypto lender, Voyager Digital. SBF even had to transfer $4 billion in FTX funds to Alameda Research to prop them up. This was never revealed to FTX executives for fear that the information would leak until after bankruptcy. This chaotic business model prompted Binance, a major FTX competitor and FTT holder, to sell its holdings in their entirety, worth $580 million, which created the classic run on the bank as other customers got spooked and desperately followed suit to get their money out, with over $6 billion in withdrawals in just 2 days, which saw the FTT token collapse by 80%. This rarely ever ends well. Just look at Northern Rock in the UK. Given that this video is a few weeks after the events unfolded, we have a better view as to what actually happened alongside this, and there were deeper issues with regards to the FTX Alameda links. In the early days, the FTX exchange was unable to accept wire transfers, so clients would send money to Alameda and FTX would then credit their account. In theory, receiving your cash through an affiliate business seems straightforward enough. However, the jarring issue was that the money was never passed on to FTX. Rather, it was held within Alameda and actively traded in the markets. What's worse is that they didn't make money. In fact, they lost a lot of money. $8 billion of customer funds, to be precise. Money that wasn't theirs to lose. So no shocks when people tried to withdraw their money, FTX couldn't find it. What a mess, I hear you say. Well, that's similar to what John Ray III said. Never in my career have I seen such a complete failure of corporate controls and such a complete absence of trustworthy financial information. And he worked on the Enron bankruptcy. Ray's team have managed to find 700...
Well, that's a lot to take in.
That's a lot so far.
How do you mismanage that? How much money in your subsidiary? I mean, and that was kind of what FTX was going to work on.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole web of dealings that pretty much got screwed up along the way, and I think that this is a huge mess on their hands.
$140 million worth of cryptocurrency in what he described as only a fraction of what he was hoping to recover. Now, during the downfall, one of the major players was Binance, a direct competitor to FTX, and the story begins back in 2019. At first, Zhao, the founder and CEO of Binance, was friends with SBF. And having met in 2019, Zhao bought 20% of FTX for $100 million to help grow the crypto economy together. But that relationship didn't last, because as FTX grew, they became a more significant global competitor. When FTX tried to obtain a Gibraltar license, Binance refused to cooperate to help with shareholder information. The saga went on for so long that SBF bought back Zhao's stake in FTX at an incredible $2 billion price, a whopping 20-fold return for Zhao, albeit mostly paid in FTT, the FTX token. Fast forward to the present day, and on the 2nd of November, it was revealed by CoinDesk that Alameda Research was heavily dependent on FTT. This concerned Binance, who just 4 days later decided to sell their entire FTT holdings on the 6th of November due to these revelations. This started the run on the bank, which created a liquidity crunch. But Binance played an even bigger role. And as FTX were in freefall, Binance offered a lifeline. A parachute, if you will. Just 2 days later, and Binance came back to the table to help bail out FTX by buying the company. But notably, in the terms announced by Zhao on Twitter, Binance had the discretion to pull out of the deal at any time. But terms were agreed, with SBF tweeting a huge thank you to CZ, and he told his staff on Slack, "Let's live to fight another day. All's well that ends well, I guess." However, in a shock to many, just a day later and Binance announced the termination of the deal as a result of corporate due diligence. It also cited regulatory investigations and reports of mishandled funds, with Zhao announcing, "Every time a major player in an industry fails, retail consumers will suffer. We have seen over the last several years that the crypto ecosystem is becoming more resilient, and we believe in time that outliers that misuse user funds will be weeded out by the free market." This sounds harsh, but fair. As you can imagine, the fall of FTX sent shockwaves through the crypto industry, with many calling for greater regulation to avoid such a disaster happening again. Other crypto lenders like BlockFi and Genesis have also paused withdrawals and operations as they too had a run on the bank. And in the investment business, halting redemptions is a fast track to failure.
Cryptocurrency lender BlockFi has filed for bankruptcy. It comes just weeks after the collapse of FTX, one of the world's largest cryptocurrency exchanges.
What do you want?
Jeez.
Oh, come on, this thing. Well, that's a lot.
That's a good stopping point, though.
Yeah, that's a good stopping point there.
Yeah, lots of stuff to unravel there in terms of the crypto market, in terms of how volatile it is.
Yeah.
And then you got all these companies that one goes down, and then the others just kind of there's been a lot of sentiment, a lot of negative sentiment of crypto, and it's no surprise. A lot of these people will decide to pull out their investments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, this is the world we live in, so...
Let's go back to Georgia real quick. Let me share what's going on there. See if we have any more updates. show everyone. Yeah, right now 78% of the vote is in. Warnock is continuing to lead. Walker 50.3% to 49.7%. Still quite a few votes left to count in Fulton County and also DeKalb County too. So we're going to be waiting on those two hubs probably throughout the night tonight. I assume in the next couple hours we'll have clear results, but again, it's kind of still tight. 79% of the vote is in. We're almost at the home stretch.
Yeah, we are. I think I don't know. It's way too close to call to make any sort of prediction of whether Warnock or Walker are going to win. I think was still sort of the votes left to count in Cobb County and Fulton. I think you're probably going to see a Warnock victory, but Walker could build. There's still time to pull an upset here for Herschel.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at some of the counties where there could be still. A lot of these counties have about 99% of the vote is already counted. So Walker's really going to need, if these next batches of votes, this last 40% of the votes still left to be counted in DeKalb, Walker's going to need to, have a ratio of like 2 to 1 on Warnock to even pull off an upset. But I don't know where these votes are still left within Fulton and DeKalb counties. And there's still, let's see, Fayette County. This is one where Walker could continue to, break into the lead on Warnock. Warnock's up 54.7% of Walker's 45.3%. But again, there's still about 30% left of the vote still to be counted. And Walker can, cut into the lead a little bit there. Looking at Clayton County right now, 77% of the vote is there, has been counted. And Warnock has a heavy lead right now, 89.5% of the vote to Walker's 10.5% of the vote. So that's looking good for Warnock. Also, what's looking good for Warnock is in Henry County right now, 61% of the vote already counted, 72% for Warnock, 27% for Walker. So again, it's going to be this metro area in Atlanta that's really going to determine this race.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a pretty heavy lean towards Warnock there. So I don't know. I think Walker's holding on for dear life here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's close, but I think with Warnock right now having a slight lead and still a lot of votes left to be counted in big population hubs that tend to swing Democrat, it's looking good right now for Warnock, and it looks like Walker is in a it's going to look tough down the stretch for Walker.
Yeah, I think so too. I think tomorrow will ultimately show up. I think we can start to say pretty definitively, unless there's a huge margin for error here in terms of how these counties are going to swing, that Warnock is probably going to be the likely winner here.
Yeah, it's looking like it's going to be that way right now. But again, maybe there's some votes that could go Walker's way. I mean, I don't know, but it really looks right now that Warnock is going to be able to win this one.
So that will give Democrats 51 seats in the House, while Republicans get 49. Obviously, when we talk about sort of the seats in the House, Democrats still have the majority there, so there wasn't much as investment as we allude to, but it still can be a pretty big. I think the challenge for Democrats now is the House, obviously, is now make up that. But you never know; you might be able to swing. You might be able to get some bipartisanship if you're the Biden administration on some deals among House Republicans, and obviously with the Senate, you're going to have a there because you now have that extra vote, which could be used to overturn some like a like who's the West Virginia senator? I'm blanking on the name.
Manchin and Joe Manchin of West Virginia and Kristen Sinema of Arizona.
Yep. So those So you're gonna have a lot more leverage in the Senate there, which could be a pretty game changer. But the same, especially when you look at some of the legislation the Biden administration is trying to pass now. Now, I think from now until January, you could see a run in terms of what Democrats want to pass. I think right now you're looking at. I think the student debt relief is still is a Supreme Court decision.
Yep.
Also, there's a big Supreme Court decision be taking place with the marriage case over there.
Oh, wasn't it a web developer?
Yeah, web developer. And it goes back to the cake controversy.
Yeah,
where
that's going to be the precedent, I assume, in that case. Yeah, that one is. I remember that one with the Colorado couple.
Yep.
Yeah, that's going to be a big decision. Now, there's a couple other cases that the Supreme Court is going to look at, but some of their decisions don't come until like the end of their this tenure. So that's like in June of 2023. So some of their decisions won't be made public until the summer of next year. But that's going to be one that I have seen, and also the student loans. But yeah, I mean, like you mentioned with the Senate right now, it's 50. I mean, if the Republicans somehow win this, it would be 50-50. But with a Democrat majority, one, you wouldn't have to rely on Vice President Harris to come in and vote. And I guess she's actually the first. This is the first time in modern American history that a vice president has been used the most to vote when it's a deadlock in the Senate. I believe it's 26 times so far. They have required Kamala Harris to vote. So that would be one thing too. The budget, Democrats would be able to expand their budget, and also kind of help with select committees too. They would have the majority, so they'd also be able to have better committee preferences, which would also be major for them. So this is the reason why this race is very important, especially now with divided chambers of Congress. Yeah, so all eyes are right now on Georgia. Still looks pretty good, though, for Democrats right now, currently enjoying about a 0.2% lead, but still more votes to be counted. 80% of the vote is in Georgia, so it's currently a toss-up, but things look favorable right now for Warnock.
Yeah, there's an upset tonight from Walker. I mean, you don't know what I think that's gonna bring some magnitude towards it as well. Because this is pretty close. I didn't expect it to be this close, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I knew that it was going to be close, but I didn't know how close it was going to be. Especially with recent weeks, how Republicans have been kind of I don't know, they've kind of felt like a lot of that momentum that they thought they had during election day. They thought that they had all that momentum, but again, it was a shock for them to see that a lot of the races that they were hoping that they were going to win didn't play out to be the result that they wanted. I think that's why you see enthusiasm kind of low in the Republicans, especially with Herschel Walker in his campaign. So it seems like he's on a lifeline right now. And as for Democrats, they're really invested in Warnock, and they're hoping that they can hold on to this race and have a defined majority in the Senate.
Yeah, I think it's all going to be interesting to sort of play out the scenarios here in terms of what can come about. But we ultimately won't know until tomorrow.
Yeah. I think it'll be later tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah, so I think we're going to end right here. We're mostly done here, but still a close call. But that's all the coverage of sort of what's going on in terms of mainstream politics, what the implications of this election is, and how we see things going forward. So there you go. If you enjoyed the stream, please leave a like. It helps us out a little bit. If you're interested in checking out more of our content, make sure you subscribe. Until then, see ya.
See ya.